our Board of Education meeting. Happy Wednesday to all of you. We will have our student board member, Isabel Clark, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Everyone repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Isabel, I said your name with a Spanish accent. I said Isabel. Thank you for that. So we welcome those who are here for the purposes of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. If you wish to speak to an item during the meeting, please fill out a form, and I have a nice stack in front of me, indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. You may also request to give testimony on an item not listed on the discussion today. However, full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed until such a time as the item can be publicly posted in advance as a regular agenda item. If you wish to ask questions, please address them to the chair and not to the individual members of the board or to the staff, and all of our public folks that are giving public comments have also been given some instructions. In closed session today, the board voted to approve a compromise and release agreement in OAH consolidated case numbers. Ooh, this is a long one, Brent. 2021050578 / 2021050710, providing consideration, accommodations, and a general release. The board also voted to approve a compromise and release agreement in case number 202104109, providing consideration, accommodations, and general release. Both votes were separately conducted by a roll call and were unanimous, with all 5 members participating in the vote. Public hearing today, we have none. And I'm gonna do a little something special here today and a little different to open up our meeting. November is Native American Heritage Month, or it's also commonly referred to as National American Indian and Alaska Native Heritage Month. The month is a time for us to celebrate and acknowledge important contributions of Native people and to our country and to the fabric of our society. And it's also a time for us to educate and raise awareness of the unique challenges and historical challenges that have faced Native people in our country and that continue to face many of our Native people today. But it's also a good opportunity to highlight the efforts that Native people have made to conquer these challenges. So as a part of our district's reflection of celebrating Native American Heritage Month and honoring Native land and Native peoples every day, I'd like to start our meeting today with a land acknowledgement that I'll read. So we acknowledge the Tongva peoples as traditional land caretakers of the Los Angeles Basin and Southern Channel Islands, and are grateful to have the opportunity to work on these sacred lands. We pay our respects to ancestors, elders, and our relatives, relations past, present, and emerging. Thank you to all Native Americans in this country. With that said, I will call for items for separate action and adoption of the agenda as posted.
Move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? Let's take a vote. Let's see if we can do this without me getting confused. I'll start with Mr. Otto here on my left. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Huh? Oh, aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Approval of minutes from November 3rd.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so minutes pass 4-0. And one of the best parts of our night, introduction of our student board member, Isabel Clark from Milliken High School.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabel Clark. I'm a P senior at Milliken High School and co-ASB president. I wanted to start off the updates at Millikan High School by first of all thanking you all for inviting me here. I'm honored to speak on behalf of my entire school. So to begin, we recently had homecoming at Millikan, and everyone really enjoyed all of the different dress-up days that we had for different days of the week. We had a high number of student participation, which I think contributes to the fact that a myriad of students are very excited from being back after being gone all the past year. And everyone just loved being back in the school spirit and being able to be in community with one another. Not only were the dress-up days an incredible success, but we also had our football game on Friday night along with our dance. At the game, we had our halftime show where we showed off our Ram royalty and who won, along with a firework halftime show, which, again, was an incredible hit with our audience. The dance was open to as many students as we can. We try and focus to have at least one dance a year that all students are open to. So the tickets are a lot cheaper and they're open to all grades. At the dance, we were able to have it outside. We had a DJ, we had karaoke, we had video games. So it was open to a lot of people who might not just be comfortable dancing. It was open to as many people as we could to make sure we had the highest number of student participation. Just this last Saturday, we had the School of Choice, which was an LBUSD school community event. And I was there personally to represent the Peace Academy that I'm in, which focuses on social justice. And I was ecstatic to be there and show all the incoming freshmen what each of the programs meant to all of the students. It was really amazing to see all the schools come together and to have all the incoming freshmen really see everything that the LBUSD district has to offer. And so many kids were just excited to be there and see other students who were there who have been through the programs at whatever school they were at. Any of the other students who were there with me were very excited to be there and represent their school and their own program and talk about what they've been doing. To conclude, our band, choir, and all of our sports are doing incredible right now at Millikan. We've gone to the CIF finals for a lot of them, and in this upcoming weeks, we plan on going to the championships for many of our sports. But to conclude all of our RAM updates, I wanted to say thank you so much again for having me here, and I'm open to any questions that anyone might have.
I think you just opened up a Pandora's box now, Isabel. So we, of course, wish you and all of your fellow Rams an awesome rest of the academic year. Usually one of the questions that we ask of our student board members is what your plans are after graduation.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going in the Peace program for 4 years, so I think it's, expected. I plan on becoming a lawyer. So, yeah.
I'm sorry about that, Isabel.
I do plan on becoming a lawyer, but I'm really interested in political science and international studies. So it varies per each school, but I plan on majoring on either one of those. But one of the main schools that I'm applying to is the University of Washington.
Awesome. UW.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, unfortunately, we have an attorney here that sits with us,
Objection.
so. Any questions for my colleagues?
I don't know.
Or for you?
I had one question. This is pretty important. What was your favorite dress-up day at campus?
I really liked, we had, since it was Star Wars themed, the very last day was a blackout day, which was for the dark side day. And my closet is at least over half black. So it was really easy to just find something cute to wear. And it was probably the easiest day where I could look fashionable and it was easy to access. So that was definitely my favorite, yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. No words of wisdom, please, Mr. Otto.
So you want, tell me about, you're going into what program?
I'm currently in the Peace program at
Okay.
Millikan.
And you've been in that program ever since you came to Millikan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. Tell me a little bit about the program and what you like about it.
Yeah, well, the Peace program is centered around the idea of enter to learn and exit to serve. So we have a lot of classes throughout our years that focus specifically on advocacy and how we can promote legal justice.
Mm-hmm.
So even my freshman year, I started off with an intro to social justice class. The past couple years, I've had an intro to constitutional law, principles of law, and this year I'm finishing up my 4 years with a Justice in America class. Mm-hmm. So even a lot of my classes focus on communication and how we can use that in the legal area or through anything else that our other students are pursuing.
Mm-hmm. And that 4 years has made you decide that you really think you want to pursue law when you're done with college?
Well, before I even went into high school, I knew that I wanted to do something concerning being a lawyer and promoting legal justice. So Peace was really a no-brainer for me to choose, and it was really helpful for me to hone in my communication skills. I'm on the mock trial team, I'm on the debate team, So it's been able to just shape the skills that I already had and knew I wanted to use.
Yeah. Well, I am a graduate of Millikan High School, although a couple years before you. And they had an excellent speech and debate program when I was there. I didn't participate in it, but I had lots and lots of friends that did, and I think Millikan's been known for their quality speech and debate programs over the years, and so that's terrific. It's
Yeah.
terrific, and you've had a good experience at Millikan, and great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Isabel, that was awesome.
Go Rams.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank
good
you
job.
so much. Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to hang out with us tonight, but if you need to excuse yourself, we totally understand.
Thank you so much for having me here again. I'm so honored. But yeah.
Make sure Dr. Camarino gets a good picture of you. We know Justin did, but. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. So we have recognitions and acknowledgements, student, staff, and school celebrations.
My name is Abigail. I'm a senior at Browning. I grew up in a kitchen. When I was younger, my grandma Linda used to always have Sunday dinners, and she would always make bread and bundt cakes, chocolate, lemon, you name it, she baked it. And my mom's side of the family it's a very matriarchal family, so the woman's always the head of the family. And so every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would always see them cooking in the kitchens. Watching them cook and watching the amount of love they put into the food that they were making to feed their family, it just astonished me. And I've wanted nothing more in the world than to recreate that feeling, and knowing that it's like one of the biggest things that can bring people together is food. The sense of community that we have here at Browning, it's my favorite, because you actually get to see the love of food in some of these kids blossom. And our teachers truly do care about the students, and they will do everything they possibly can to help the student. And that's why they'll always push you to do better. I think that's what makes Browning stand out. Besides the culinary, is that student-teacher relationship where both parties have this immense amount of care for each other.
That was lovely. Thank you, Mr. Edson, for putting that together. And particularly lovely for those of us that have had the honor and privilege to grow up in family kitchens. Right, how meaningful that is for us. Next item is public testimony on items listed on the agenda. So, Mr. Suarez, will you be helping with that today? We'll have our first speaker come in then.
Oh, guess who?
Good evening, Tonya. Welcome.
Hi. Tonya Reyes Aranga, 90806. I'm here to talk about redistricting. The main purpose of redistricting is to allow communities to elect their representative of their choice. The Voting Rights Act is an important federal redistricting requirement that ensures our representatives reflect America's racial and ethnic diversity. The Voting Rights Act applies to redistricting to prevent states and localities from drawing districts that deny minorities a chance to elect a candidate of their choice. Section 2 requires that if there is racially polarized voting, and if a minority opportunity district can be drawn, then it must be drawn. In areas where minority populations have grown, such as Latino communities in Long Beach, more minority opportunity districts may be required under Section 2. LBUSD has 3 clear majority opportunity districts. Your scenarios do not provide the ability to carve a district outside the lines of your 3 examples. It is also a big problem that the CVAP is not on par with our present CVAP percentages, especially for our Latino population. In District 1, every scenario is either equal or slightly above the present Latino CVAP numbers, which is fine. But in District 2, all the scenarios come in with lower Latino CVAP numbers than what we have now. And in District 3, 2 of the 3 scenarios are less than a percentage point above, and 1 is below the original Latino CVAP numbers. In minority-majority districts, and especially for the Latino voting age population, maps should always be above or at least matching the district's original CVAP numbers. I know you think your work is good enough, and you may only be off a few percentage points in all districts for every scenario, or in the case of Scenario 2, it is 3 percentage points lower. And in that 3% decrease in scenario 2, it represents 1,847 potential voters lost. In other districts, it would represent a higher number because, of course, voters, there's a higher CVAP number in certain districts. Like in District 1, it would actually be 1,970 potential voters. I understand you are under the gun in terms of time, but outreach has been bare minimum. Defining redistricting, showing the maps, letting folks know that the school lines haven't been changed, and referring them to the website is not outreach. Nowhere do you talk about the importance of redistricting and that the main reason we are doing this is to allow for fair and equitable representation. And that's a darn good reason to get involved. The Long Beach Unified School District is a minority-majority district, and in all cases, those numbers should be respected and reflected in the lines you draw. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Hello.
afternoon, welcome.
Welcome, thank you. My name is Xochitl Gonzalez. I'm with Long Beach Parents United. I'm here to talk on the agenda item 20.1 relating to sex education. The primary teacher of children are their parents. It is the parents' rights and responsibilities to teach sexual morality to their children. Public school sex education classes ignore individual differences among children and break down the natural modesty of boys and girls. When children are taught academics such as math and reading, they are given materials suitable to their level of readiness for this material. Yet when it comes to extremely sensitive area of sexuality, all children in the same grade level are given the same material, even if some are not yet physically or psychologically ready for the material. This is sensitive and harmful. Forcing boys and girls to listen to, view, and openly discuss the sexual functioning of opposite anatomy while in their presence is embarrassing and contributes to the modesty that is natural and appropriate in human beings. 5 reasons why sex education shouldn't be taught in schools. Number 1, it uses tax dollars. Number 2, it's awkward. Number 3, students shouldn't learn about this in school. Number 4, no one needs it. Number 5, parents should be teaching the children this, not teachers. Sexual education leaves teens vulnerable to sexual assault. The way sex education is taught in a school setting leaves young adults vulnerable to sexual experiences. Sexual education is a waste of valuable class time. Classroom time would be better spent on subjects that parents can't teach effectively. And for the parents at home listening, you can opt out of these programs, opt out of this curriculum, and your child will not be adversely affected in their academics. Sex education makes teenagers more promiscuous. A comprehensive sex education program will make teenagers more promiscuous. Sex education should not be taught in schools because every child is different. Sex education allows teachers to promote an agenda. Many educators have their own personal views on matters like contraceptives, abortion, and LGBTQ. Sex education in schools allows them to push the agenda on children and teens. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Board President Dr. Benitez, Superintendent Dr. Baker, and other board members. I'm a lady for liberty. I'm here for an unusual, I'm here to express my opposition to Agenda 20.1. The policy, I think it's 6142.1, is entitled Sexual Health and HIV/AIDS Prevention. I don't know if any of you have children. How would you like for some unknown person to come to your 12-year-old and give him a condom and the keys to your Tesla and say, have at it? This issue about giving This issue about giving students anonymous permission or access to condoms as long as they don't identify their gender, because if they identified their gender, then the school would be required to ask for the parents to give permission for them to educate the student. This issue of making condoms, you know, we know what condoms are for the sexual activity. In an academic environment where the academic results of many schools are on the very low side, they're in essence getting an F in English language arts and mathematics and college and career. They're getting the lowest rating. It's a red, not a blue or a green. When I look at these scores on the Student Accountability Report Card, I'm wondering, why isn't your focus on what it should be, which is to focus on their academic efforts, like chemistry, not condoms? My request is to ask for you to please think about if you want your student, if you would like your student to have access to condoms at a young age. This says all ages, anonymous access. How would you like that unbridled freedom for kids, sometimes, you know, boys who are running on high hormones or things like that?
Can I just
Please.
ask you to lift your mask up above your nose, please? Thank you.
How would you like for any of your children or grandchildren to for strangers to give them access to things like condoms in an academic environment where you should be focusing on helping raise these bad scores of academics? Please take a look at what's been approved by this mysterious advisory committee of diverse stakeholders, and please change that and use a baseline of, would the outcome be respectful to all? What if you are caught liable? My concern is that you're, as a board, you could be held liable if the condom didn't work and the girl had an abortion or the abortion went faulty. You could be held liable for that. So then we've got more lawsuits because of that, because you're letting young kids, it's letting young kids pretend they're like acting like adults. It's like letting them drive a Tesla without a driver's license.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up. Leticia, did we have any more comments for items on the agenda? Okay. We'll start then with public testimony on items not listed on the agenda.
Oh, okay, great.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Carol Jones. I'm a mother of 12-year-old triplet girls who currently attend Rogers Middle School. All of my daughters have received their standard vaccines during routine annual doctor's visits. I personally had and recovered from COVID-19 back in January of this year, before the COVID vaccine was available. Trying to be informed regarding whether or not to take the vaccine, my husband and I learned about VAERS, a worldwide database that catalogs instances of adverse reactions to all vaccines. We learned that in 2021, VAERS showed a large spike in the number of vaccine-related adverse events. After the COVID vaccine became available to the 12 and up age group, we sadly learned that a gifted dancer, the niece of a friend of ours, became unable to walk after having been administered the COVID vaccine. We also watched on social media the tearful account of a California mother of a cheerleader whose daughter suffered trembling of her right arm after having been administered the COVID vaccine. 7 months later, that girl's arm still shakes. It's been unsettling enough to cause us to be unwilling to take the COVID vaccine. We won't risk the chance that we, or certainly not any of our precious daughters, might be one of the unlucky ones. I hope that each of you recognize that there are varied views regarding the wisdom of taking the COVID vaccine. As we now know, vaccine recipients can still contract and spread COVID. With reports of adverse reactions to the vaccine continuing to mount, our family has concluded that the risk of taking the COVID vaccine outweighs its potential benefit. I request that the Long Beach Unified School District not require students to take this risky vaccine as a condition of attending public school, regardless of Governor Newsom's own views and proposed mandates. As a parent, I couldn't live with myself if any of my daughters suffered an adverse vaccine reaction, and I won't subject them to that risk. Please consider if I stand before you today, unwilling to risk giving the COVID vaccine to my 3 daughters, that there are many other families who feel the same way. Public school is supposed to be available to the children of all taxpayers, not only those that decide to have their children take this particular vaccine, which is still very young and has not been tested over a significant length of time. Our daughters love their school and want to be able to continue to attend it. My family requests not only that the Long Beach Unified School District not impose any COVID vaccine mandate on its student body population, but also that the district assert the position actively, as other school districts have already done, that it will not impose any such mandate. Thank you very much.
Oops, thank you. Good evening, welcome.
Hi. Do I just start?
Yes, you have
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rena. Thank you for having me. I am raising my grandson who has an IEP for speech therapy. He was doing amazingly in pronouncing his words, clearly. Upon returning to school and wearing a mask all day, he has developed other issues with odd motions of his mouth and lips. His words are no longer clear. He slurs his words and hardly opens his mouth when talking. I sometimes have him repeat what he is saying because I simply just don't understand him. He didn't have these issues until returning to school and wearing a mask all day. I am here today not only to be his voice, but for all the kids, parents, and community who are against these mandates. As you already know, the meaning of the word does not mean law. There is no legal valid vaccine mandate. The COVID-19 vaccines are under EUA, Emergency Use Authorization. The government has no official documents in the form of legislation, law, or regulation that grants a legal basis for mandates. You have the power to make the change. You can and should remove all mandates for our children attending school. The COVID-19 shots are experimental and give the drug companies full immunity. They are not liable for anything, no matter how many people are injured or die. The CDC website states that for the age group of 0 to 17 years old, there is a 3% hospitalization and a 4% death rate from February 2020 to September of 2021. They have also admitted in court that they have never conducted a study of the outcome of vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. The CDC admitted under the FOIA Freedom of Information Act that there is no proof that those with natural immunity had ever spread or recontracted COVID, including variants. Yet there are countless studies that provide those who have been vaccinated against COVID continue to transmit and contract the virus. This is abuse. To continue pushing these mandates and are in support of pushing the vaccine and masking our children is unlawful. I will, and so many other parents, will remove our children from school. I have done my research on how to homeschool and have created a future pod with other families if this were to happen. We are prepared to do so. I ask you to please consider, when deciding on our children's future, that you make the right choice. Requiring parents and guardians to comply with the mandate of our children to get vaccinated in order to attend in-person school is unacceptable. Let's do the right thing together and be on the right side of history. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening, welcome.
Hi. Hello, board members and Dr. Baker. My name is Jana Diebel, and I'm a Poly graduate and a third-generation Long Beach native. My husband and I have 4 children, currently at Kettering, Prisk, Rogers, and Poly. We have always counted it a privilege that our kids go to Long Beach schools. We are so grateful for all the amazing teachers, staff, and all that LBUSD has done to implement practices that have allowed our children to succeed. LBUSD has gained a deep trust from me over these several years. Unfortunately, that trust has been broken. and 3 minutes is not near enough for me to tell my story, so I'll keep it brief and to the point. My family and I got COVID in August, and since then our lives have not been the same. We have been judged, questioned, mistreated, and more. We are not vaccinated. We got COVID, and we spread it. Our friends are vaccinated. They got COVID, and they spread it. Because we are not vaccinated, and we have deeply held beliefs against this vaccine, and that isn't something that we can simply change, we are treated differently. If everyone can get and spread COVID, why are we being mistreated? Parents that used to stop and chat and smile at me now look down when I pass by. One person even told my husband he doesn't like to talk to people anymore, but he likes to talk to people, we found out later, just not us. If this is how adults are acting, how do you think children are acting? What is being said at home about the unvaccinated? What is being said in the classrooms about the unvaccinated? What is being said in this building about the unvaccinated? My kids, along with hundreds of others, are being bullied, mistreated, and misinformed. So I have 4 questions for you. How are you going to rebuild trust with parents and children and young adults who have been affected by medical segregation, discrimination, and bullying? Do you care about the children who are being segregated, discriminated against, and bullied because of their family's vaccine status or stance on the vaccine? Does my son's exceptional status at Poly Pace matter, or only his vaccine status? Will you shun students' in-person education if they are not vaccinated? And will you oppose the vaccine mandate put forth by the governor, or will you let us parents decide what is best for our own children? Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
State your name before you speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Karen Foote, and I'm a longtime resident and employee of the school district. I'm an instructional aide special education, and I know the district is a data-driven district, so I just want to give you some facts and figures of as long as I've been here. I started in 1993 when I began working. The same job I do now, it paid at $5.25 above minimum wage. And you didn't need a two-year college degree like you do now. I started at 6 hours a day, and I got full medical benefits and a great retirement plan as well. And so now, as of January 2022, for a starting employee, they'll be paid $1.68 above minimum wage, and they're required to have 2 years of college for basically a minimum wage job, and they're only guaranteed 3.8 hours a day, and no medical benefits are offered. So the district has devalued our work gradually over the years. And we love our jobs, we love our kids, we want to do the best for them, but at what they're paying now, if I was coming in new, I wouldn't work here, and a lot of other people believe the same. And so the minimum wage has gone up almost $11 an hour. For our job, it's only gone up $7 an hour since '93. And so our buying power has been decreased. The cost of living has gone way up. Price of gas, price of rent, everything, groceries, astronomical. Our part-time people paying into medical are now having to apply for CalFresh benefits through the state of California because they can't afford to feed their families. So with 100 plus, more than 100 vacancies in our job, the district really needs to take a look and figure out why. It's not rocket science. It's because you're not paying enough. And the raise that we're asking for, the 7%, is well deserved.
Thank you. Your time is up,
Okay,
but thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sergio Bonilla. I'm the Vice President of CSEA. So I'm back again because, we're in this negotiations situation. With that said, I really need for you guys to understand that there's no negotiating going on. We sat several hours going back and forth on nothing. So I'm here to tell you guys that the people that are being held responsible, according to your negotiations team, is you guys. We're talking about the people up there. So just to make it clear, if that's not the case and you guys are, not giving the authority for them to negotiate, you guys really need to talk to them about that, because we spent 8 hours of doing nothing. You guys have an attorney, and that's counsel for you guys. We don't have counsel. But with that said, if you guys are paying all that money for counsel, you would think that he would know how to negotiate. But when there's no back and forth, you guys are just telling us that we're not worth the time. So with that said, I need you to understand that your negotiations team, it's got to be made clear that that you guys gave them the authority to negotiate, because this doesn't make any sense at all. You guys know for a fact that the food prices are going up, that the gas is going up, nothing is going down. I've already kind of gone over this before. Rent is skyrocketed. So, I want you to really be clear about the fact that we need a raise. And I'm not going to cave in, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're looking for me to, fall in line, like what I'm assuming that's what you're hoping that I would do, that's not going to happen with me. I'm here to negotiate for 2,000 employees. It's not for myself. It's for 2,000 families. I am part of this Long Beach Unified family, meaning that I live in this district. And with that said, if you guys can't get it done, we need people to get it done. Because I understand from the teachers that they're going to want their 2% that they were not given, because 5.0% was given by the governor. So we need to reclaim all that is ours. You guys are not losing any money, by the way. At 5.0%, if we ask for 7, that's a little bit less than 2%. One last thing I wanted to say, if we ask to be on the agenda, please put us in the agenda. Don't just toss us aside and say, oh, we didn't get that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Your
Have a
time's
good
up.
night.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Viola Mae Bledsoe. I am a 30-year employee of the Long Beach Unified School District as an instructional aide with special ed. I am now homeless because I cannot afford or find a place to live without a living wage. I am going to, at almost 65 in January, I'll be 65, have to take on a second job because I can no longer support myself on what I make here for the Long Beach Unified School District. And I know I am not the only one that is homeless and working here in this district, but I am also an 8-hour employee and cannot live on the wage. So how do you think these 3.8-hour aides, food service workers, and people who work less than 8 hours can support themselves and continue to work for this district? Most of them do have 2 or 3 jobs to support themselves. You are the largest employee in Long Beach. It is a shame that we cannot get livable wages here anymore. Like when I first started, I had no problem paying rent for a 1-bedroom apartment for years, but then the wages didn't go up for 7, 8 years, but rent went up, electricity went up, gas, so on and so forth. I have a car. It's almost a 20-year-old car. Come December, when I get the bill for the car insurance, I have no idea if I'm going to even be able to afford that, and that means I would lose my car, which means I would lose transportation to and from school, which probably would mean I would also lose the job. This district has what I thought was 24% reserves, but I've been told now that it's closer to 33% reserves. I would think that some of that reserves could be cut out and used for this raise for CSEA. I work at Cabrillo High School. We are so short of aides because you only want to hire 3.8 that we literally have not enough adults to watch the kids. Daily, we have 2 or 3 kids that miss being transferred from one class to another across that campus because we do not have enough aides to do it, because nobody wants to have a 2-year degree, get paid less than minimum wage, and a 3.8-hour job. Please do something.
You have 3 minutes, and please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Guadalupe Peregrina. My son is a student at Renaissance High. He has been a Long Beach District student from the start. My son has a visual disability as well. He has RP. We do not know if or when he will, yes. We do not know if or when he will lose what little sight he has left. He also has been diagnosed with depression. From the moment he has started school up until this school year, he has always struggled to create and keep friendships. Fortunately, this year the tides have changed. He has met a great group of teens he can now call friends. He loves his campus as well as his teachers. For the first time, I can honestly say he is happy and looks forward to attending school daily. But over the course of these last couple of months, his joy is being broken. Long Beach Unified School District, you are responsible for that. Responsible for bringing pain and anger into my son's heart. These mandates you are choosing to implement and require for the students of Long Beach Unified to attend school in person will leave us with no other choice but to leave the district. I will pull my son out. I know I do not stand alone in this decision. Many parents will pull their children out of Long Beach Unified School District. Rest assured, it will happen. We as mothers and fathers are here to protect and fight for our children at all costs. So you all need to make a decision, and the only decision that can safeguard the safety of our children and keep them from any possible harm is to reject these mandates. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Baker and board members. Thank you for your time. My name is Michelle Mazzio, and I'm a parent of a 11th grader at Millikan High School. I am not an anti-vaxxer, but I am against the mandates for the COVID shot of the staff and students. We have almost 2 years of evidence to prove that children will be fine without this COVID shot. We also have proof that the risks of myocarditis and pericarditis is happening at an alarming rate. According to the FDA website, the observed risk is highest in males 12 to 17 years of age. This is probably why they put a trice buffer in the COVID shot for ages 5 to 11. It is a blood acid reducer, which is used to stabilize acid levels in the body after cardiac arrest. Also, the FDA just approved in June 2021 a blood thinner medication for children. Why any healthy child needs to be on a blood thinner or have an acid reducer buffer placed in a shot is beyond me. This should raise some serious concerns and some questions. I keep hearing people say, what's the big deal? Your students have to have vaccines to attend school. But the difference is we just don't have the long-term safety and efficacy data for the COVID shot as we do as the other vaccines. Just to give you an example, the FDA website approximately showed that 1,444 children were given a second shot, 722 got the second dose of a vaccine, 722 got the placebo, and it was for 2 months that they were tested, and that's it for safety. The vaccines that were required to attend to school also all have gone through rigorous testings for a decade at least or more. The varicella and the polio shots were tested over on 1 million children and for a decade at least before the FDA approval was said that it was safe to give to them. The benefits are not showing that it's worth the risk. We have to remember that everyone is different. We don't know the medical histories of everybody, and everyone makes their decision based on their health for themselves and their children. If we are inclusive and diverse, we have to remember that true diversity and inclusion doesn't and shouldn't stop at skin color, gender, or sexuality. If we are an inclusive, diverse district, as we claim to be, it has to include health choices and viewpoint diversity as well, as otherwise it is simply just a performance. I have been praying for each and every one of you, and I will continue to do so. I will pray for courage and discernment as you come to make these votes for the mandate. And I pray that you just make the choice not to do the mandates.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Matt Lewandowski. I want to, again, tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity. And I also want to thank you for the November 12th update on testing. It sounds like we had some amazing news. And I would also like to hopefully encourage the next level to that communication so that we know what the metrics are for ending the mask mandates. It's not great for the kids. I think we can all agree it's not the best situation to have kids muzzled up inside the classrooms. So if we can find a way to release those metrics so we know what we can do to get those masks off the kids, that would be excellent. One of the other parts in that communication was the phrase, or there's a quote here, it says, the district does not currently have a COVID vaccine mandate. I'm wondering what the currently meant. Does that mean we are to expect one here in the coming weeks? Do we expect one here in the next couple of months? And is that related to the governor's mandate? So hopefully we can get some clarity on that. If this mandate, both whether statewide or something the board is considering, hopefully we can kind of come to an agreement here that if it's to keep people safe, if that's the intention, I think we need to acknowledge that this vaccine is not preventing people from contracting the virus, and it is not preventing people from spreading the virus. One other suggestion tonight is to maybe in the future open up the blinds so some folks on the outside can see you and you can see them. There's no need to fear transparency. As always, I thoroughly appreciate the school district. It's our first year. My daughter loves it. And I know you guys work very hard to make this an amazing environment for them. Thank you for holding the line.
Good evening. My name is Katie Clark, and I'm a mother of 3 students from the Polly PACE program, which is a phenomenal program here at Long Beach Unified, I'd like to say. I'm not here tonight to fight for my personal children, because they know where we stand, they know why we stand for health freedoms, and they are willing to hold the line. But I am already planning to pull my son next year. I did pull my daughter last year as well from her senior year at Polly, so she could actually have a real senior year. She went to school across the way in Orange County and enjoyed her senior year. Mr. Puth even personally called me to say that he was so upset that she was not at Polly there and that it was a loss to their school. The reason I share this story is that you're going to lose many great students and fabulous families due to your choices of health mandates. And I'm actually here on behalf of the parents that have not done their research, that are unaware of their options, and for the parents that you are cornering with no options for schooling. I am here on behalf of single moms like me who are trying to raise 3 great kids, pay their bills, and would have been unable to homeschool their kids. And instead, now, because of your medical mandates, are going to feel coerced and bullied into taking a vaccine shot for their children who are not at risk of dying from COVID. I'm also here on behalf of Long Beach Parents United. I'm here on behalf of the thousands that are following us, and I'm here for those single moms like I used to be. So we request a sit down to answer some of these questions and a few more. I have seen you address other groups, but will you be able to answer some of our questions today? If not, we'd like to know, when will you? What is Anissa Davis and Long Beach Health Department's specific language to mask wearing? Is it recommended or required? Please provide the documentation that you have on that. When do you plan on ending masks for indoor wearing? Do you tell the students of their freedom and rights to not have to wear the mask outside when they're playing so they can breathe fresh air? How and where do you communicate their rights to them? Are you currently allowing mask exemptions? Do you plan on allowing them? Under Process Code 21 USC 360 BBB-3, it does allow for mask exemptions, which fall under a medical device. Therefore, where should we submit them as parents? If there is no exemption, will you please show us the legal documentation against the US code that I've previously given? Since the state is not liable for mask mandate enforcement from the recent ruling in San Diego, what is your plan to enforce masks? And what is the punishment for students who refuse to wear one? Will you lobby for our children to negate the vaccine mandate for students against Newsom's law? These are some of the questions that we'd like a sit down with you to have answered. We have been here for many, many months now, and we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Good evening, board. My name is Peter Diebel. I'm a parent here in the district. I'm also a product of Long Beach Unified, and I also taught at Wilson High School for 12 years. I'm here, my wife and I are here simply because we really desperately want to keep our kids in this district. And because of the vaccine mandate, we're not sure how that's going to play out. My specific interest is on the topic of natural immunity. Right now, Long Beach Unified recognizes natural immunity, but only for a certain number of days. Do you know how many? Anybody? Do you? See, I'm curious. And the reason I ask is because when we get calls from the school telling us that our kids need to quarantine, I always ask them, and they don't know either. So it's a big problem. But you do recognize natural immunity for 90 days. And so I want to say two things about that. The first thing I want to say is thank you for giving us 90 days. It is so much better than 0 days. My family got COVID in August, and the 90 days gave us a really nice reprieve from quarantining. So thank you. But I don't understand why it's 90 days. We know that the effectiveness of the vaccine wanes. You all know it. That's why we have booster shots, right? Because we've recognized it wanes. We have no such evidence for natural immunity. You may be familiar with a study out of Israel showing that natural immunity is 13 times more effective than vaccinated immunity. Granted, it's one study, and I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So why 90 days? My ask is very simple. Will you please reconsider the 90 days? And will you please let us know how you came up with 90 days? Where did that come from? It should be a lot more. Please reconsider. Make it 365. Make it 4 years. Or better yet, just make it the same status as vaccination. We know vaccination wanes. We do not know that about natural immunity. So can we just make them equal? If you do, we can keep our kids in the district. My kids, I don't mean to brag, they're really good kids. They're the type of kids you want in this district, and I don't want to pull them out. Thank you very much for your time. Okay.
We do hear you, and we appreciate everyone coming out and providing public comment tonight. And although we can't respond directly to questions that are raised on items not on the agenda, we are listening intently, and we thank everyone for coming out and providing public comment for us tonight. Yes, thank you. And as a reminder, you can also email us, whether it's our board and or our executive staff. If you do have questions, concerns, our contact information is on the website, so you can always email us your public comments and any questions and thoughts that you have. So thank you for everyone that came out tonight. We will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our staff report, and we have board area redistricting.
Board members, thank you again for the opportunity to discuss redistricting with you. Tonight, I am joined by James Suarez and Justin Rich. So we will review the draft maps for you and the public again and provide an update on our engagement efforts. So once again, redistricting every 10 years. We are required to look at the census data that's come out and look at our current trustee areas to see if we have, we're within the required threshold for population balance. And if not, we need to readjust our boundaries in order to achieve that population balance. What redistricting, and for this year, we will make adjustments, and our target date for approval of our new map is December 1st. So again, redistricting is about school district, board district areas. It is designed for Board of Education elections and does not impact school attendance boundaries. And the data used in redistricting is, of course, the census data to look at our population, the overall population numbers, as well as citizens by voting age population, which is an estimate of the number of eligible voters based on age and citizenship status. The CVAP is used as a measure of voting strength for members of protected classes to evaluate compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act. I'll say that our maps, as well as our drafting process, have been thoroughly reviewed for compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act. So just to go over our timeline of activities, we started talking about redistricting in September, saying we'll be in an expedited time frame because of the lateness of the census data. We deployed a community of interest survey. We provided draft maps at the end of October. We've had community meetings and engagements, and have really encouraged the community to provide feedback on those draft maps. And this is our penultimate meeting on redistricting, and we'll be back with a recommendation for approval of a map on the 1st. So when we look, so here's our current trustee areas, and we've overlaid population density. So some of the feedback that we've received on the maps, and this is just an informational item, is that some of the maps aren't balanced in terms of geographic area. And that's because we are under the standard of population balance, and you'll see that the population varies greatly across the district. You'll see the greater population density in board districts 1, 2, and 3, as opposed to districts 4 and 5. So if you look at our demographics, and you look at our current trustee areas, we are total population of 518,668, with an ideal district size of 103,734. Over and against the new census data, we have a total variance of 14%. 10% is the legal threshold, so that is why we're undergoing this process of redrawing some of our lines. Our largest district is District 5, the smallest being District 3. And we have a plurality of Latinx voters, according to the citizen voting age population data, in Districts 1, 2, and 3. And this is maintained in all of the map scenarios. So in our map scenario 1, here it is. And we've indicated the new trustee areas in color, but we've also shown just a comparison to the old trustee areas, or the current trustee areas, indicated with the black lines. So in terms of scenario 1, there's a 6% variance, so that's under the threshold. Again, Latinx pluralities in districts 1, 2, and 3, the largest plurality in District 1, which remains unchanged in this scenario. Plurality in District 2 of 41.3, and 3 of 34.9. Here we show where some of the lines have been redrawn. And we'll go into focus on these areas and describe these areas. So here, from District 4 to District 2, this area that's bounded by Atlantic to the west, Wardlow to the north, Cherry to the east, and Willow to the south. We'll focus in on this area from District 5 to District 4, Los Altos South area, with Clark to the west, Stearns and Atherton to the south, and the 405 freeway to the north. And lastly, the Carroll Park, North Alamitos Beach area from District 4 to District 3, with 7th Street to the north, Cherry to the west, Junipero, Carroll Park east, and Redondo to the east. And that is it for the scenario number 1. On to map scenario 2. And here's the map, and here's the demographics. Here we have a 7.6 variance, again within under the 10% threshold. Largest plurality in District 1 that's not changed, of Latinx voters. Plurality in District 2, 3, but the Latinx voting CVAP numbers decrease in District 2 and increases in District 3 as there's an exchange of territory between the two districts. Here are the areas in which are changing, and we'll focus in and describe these changed areas. So from District 4 to District 3, it's all of Willow Springs and Signal Hill in that area. Here we have from District 5 to District 4, Los Altos South and Stearns Park area. So we have Lakewood to the west, Stearns and Atherton to the south, and 405 to the north. That'd be changing. Here we have the Wilmore and St. Mary's area from District 2 to District 4. So we have Anaheim to the north, Alamitos to the east, and 7th Street to the south. Here in map scenario 3, here's the map. And here is the demographics of this map. It's the smallest variance of 4.1%. Again, Latinx pluralities in districts 1, 2, and 3. It's higher in District 1 at 44.7%, a bit lower in District 2, and a bit higher in District 3. Again, these are the areas that would be changing, that would be affected by a change to this map. So here we have from District 1 to District 2, the Cal Heights area. In District 4 to District 2, the northwest portion of Signal Hill and Willow Springs, bounded by Willow to the south. Here from District 5 to District 4, this area bounded by Clark to the west, Stearns and Atherton to the south, and the 405 freeway to the north. And from District 2 to District 3, adds rest of the Wilmore area, so Anaheim to the north, Pacific to the east, 11th and 10th Street to the south, cutting around Loma Vista and Chester, and DeForest to the west. And last, from District 4 to District 3, we have the Rose Park South, Carroll Park areas, with 7th Street to the north, Cherry to the west, and Junipero to the east. So that's a description of the maps. I'd entertain any questions on the maps, unless we'd like to move on to.
Ms. Takahashi, will you be talking about the feedback that we've gotten? Are you just
Yes,
taking questions on the maps right now then?
We're focusing on the maps right now, but we will talk about the feedback that we've received on the maps.
Any questions on the maps then, colleagues?
Okay.
To be clear, which is the scenario that keeps Signal Hill into a single district?
That would be map 2. And that is feedback that we've received from the city of Signal Hill, their desire to remain in one board district. Okay, so if there are no questions, I will turn it over to James, who will go through community engagement.
So good evening. Thank you for switching the slide. Thanks, Yumi. I'll be focusing on the next 2 slides. And I'm back to remind the board and the community of the webpage that is dedicated to all that is LBUSD redistricting. And I'm sure you remember the webpage from the last time I was here. We can probably all recite it, but I'm going to say it again because it is lbschools.net/redistricting. So we're asking the community to lend their voice about these maps. Here's a screenshot of lbschools.net/redistricting, and it shows 2 red buttons. One that says your input is needed, and the second is su opinión es necesaria. Click on the red button to give your opinion about the maps. There are 2 questions about each map. 1, what do you like about it? And 2, what can be improved? The feedback in the community is important because it helps inform the Board of Education about the map scenarios to give insights from neighborhoods and considerations for each map. Now, the next slide shows that we have 113 responses, but we are looking for more. In fact, every comment made about the maps are presented to the Board of Education members so that they can use your feedback as they consider the maps. As shared at the board workshop, the current responses have some themes that are emerging. Keeping Signal Hill together, and this was indeed confirmed when LBUSD received feedback from the city of Signal Hill, who strongly endorses this notion. Keep Cal Heights, Los Cerritos, and Bigsby Knolls together. Using the 405 freeway as a natural boundary. And related to the 405, there's a sense to review and fix the current jagged boundaries. Lastly, but probably most importantly, the community is overwhelmingly in favor of keeping neighborhoods together. With that, let me plug one more time. Community, please visit lbschools.net/redistricting. Now I turn it over to Justin, who will let you know about the progress with community engagement activities.
Thank you, James. So, members of the board, we listened, we heard you, and we heard members of our community who asked for more instances of engagement. They wanted more moments that we could engage with them directly and explain what redistricting was and explain to them the differences in the maps and also elicit their feedback. James talked a lot about the website and some of the things that we've done in terms of how we're showing off these maps to the community on our website, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how our in-person activities have gone. So since the beginning of this process, we've been able to engage a lot of members of the community. It's hard to quantify when it comes to how many specific members of the community, but I can try to quantify how many different instances or moments in time that we've actively engaged them with meetings and different social media engagements. First things first, we hosted 2 community meetings via Zoom. The first one was on Monday, November 8th. The second one was November 15th. Those were Zoom meetings that included our friend Justin Rich, Yumi Takahashi, James, other members of our executive team, and we invited members of the community to come into a Zoom meeting so wherever they were, they could log in and hear a similar presentation of what you heard today about the differences in the maps. We also engaged the community and our different district committees. We hosted presentations with them. We had presentations with DLAC, with Iona, with CAP, and also have 2 coming up tomorrow with DCAC and the PIEV, Pacific Islander Education Voyage. Moving forward to the next slide, thank you. Since the beginning of this process, we also developed a community flyer that you've seen plenty of times, but here it is again. This flyer has on it a QR code that members of the community can scan, and it immediately takes them to the survey that we asked for their input about the maps. But in addition, we passed out those flyers at a bunch of different community events, and from my count, we have at least 11 different instances that we were able to engage the community, whether it be virtual or in person. And here's a few other ones that we did. We didn't host, but we partnered with Long Beach Forward at their community event on October 30th. It was their Halloween event where they also were vaccinating members of the community. And so we had folks from our office there to talk to the community about redistricting. After that, on November 6th, on Saturday, we partnered with a bunch of local community partners, and that was at the Retreat-ish. It was a brunch and mini workshop for Long Beach Unified families, and we also had a table there. Some great members of our community engagement team went there and were able to talk to a lot of members of our community about redistricting. Last weekend, on November 13th, we had a booth at the high school choice fair. And from what I heard, we had about 1,200 people show up approximately, and it was great to be able to engage as many of them as possible. So everyone who walked into that event had to walk by our redistricting table, which was pretty neat. And we shared information with them. Coming up, we are working with Long Beach Forward, who is partnering with MOLA, with the Museum of Latin American Art. And they're going to have a turkey giveaway, so we're going to have some information about redistricting at that event as well.
Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Justin.
Thank you so much. Tuesday, November 23rd. Would you say 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Great plug. We did send out, last week, we sent out mailers to about 40,000 households in Long Beach. And that mailer was very similar to the flyer that I just held up. It just asked for community input, had the QR code on there, so anyone who got that mailer could scan the QR code and again, go to our survey that allowed them to give their feedback on the maps and also ask us questions. And last but not least, we've put up a lot of social media posts using Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And from what I understand, so far we've put up at least 20 social media posts. We have good engagement on all of those posts. And again, the idea is just to over-communicate to our community that we are looking for that feedback on redistricting. And so with all that being said, again, we heard the community in their plea for better engagement. And we tried to do everything that we could to increase that engagement when it came to redistricting, and we look forward to getting their feedback. I'm open to take any questions if you have them. If not, thanks for letting me present.
Colleagues, let's make sure that Justin earns his pay tonight.
Well, I can talk a little bit about the feedback in Area 4, and that is that there hasn't been much personal feedback to me. I've made myself available and invited people to call me to talk about it. What I've found is that people in my area or anybody, and I've gotten calls from other areas as well, but people who are interested in redistricting with regard to the school district are primarily interested in how it's going to affect their kids and their kids' education. And so I get to tell them that it doesn't affect where they go to school. It doesn't affect any decisions that the district is going to be making about where people go to school. And so the questions that I get and the feedback that I'm getting is all very personal. They want to see that that things will continue or they'll be able to do what it is that they want educationally. Whereas I think the school board, in making this decision, is asking a completely different question, and that is this fair? Is it balanced? Or do we meet the voting rights requirements? So I am pleasantly surprised that there doesn't seem to be a lot of dissension. We haven't obviously picked a map yet. The things that my area gain and lose seem acceptable under various scenarios. I'm still soliciting feedback, but in contrast to the redistricting decisions for the city, which has 9 councilmanic districts, or the state, or even the federal government, where there seems to be a lot more controversy because of what those maps look like, we have very little. And that's a blessing because it seems that people are, while they haven't made final decisions, are pretty satisfied with what's going on. And so I'm comforted by that. I think that Along the margins, there may be a little more interest, but I'm not hearing it yet. So continue to outreach and see what I can find before we have to make the final decision on December 1st.
Mr. Miller?
I'll be brief. I'm not trying to work you, Justin. I want to be clear. That is my buddy over here.
But you're going to ask him a question anyways, right?
Correct. So two things. First, I just want to thank you for the packet. I think that the packet is definitely more concise than what we've received in the past. I love the fact that it's a deep dive into some of those neighborhoods, and we could see the distinct streets. We could see, I think that they even borrowed some of the suggestions that are made with the hatch technique around some of the desired lines. So I think that that will potentially give people a little bit of a deeper dive into the details of each neighborhood that's being outlined here. Question, is this level of detail that we have here also going to be shared with the public?
Yeah, this is the same slide presentation that's been used in the community meetings. And this presentation has been online since November 8th. So
Okay.
all this information is available
And it's going
to
to
the
have
public.
Correct. And so I knew this portion, but I'm talking about the zoomed in portion
Yes,
of the.
yes,
okay,
that
so
has
those
been
are-
a part of the community meetings that
Okay.
we've held twice.
Great. The next piece that I had, and I wanted to make sure that it is part of the outreach, is that as I'm looking at the comments here, because once again, I've made a personal decision to allow the community to make their own stance towards whichever map is best suited for their district. I think that knowing our position that we can have a certain level of influence, so I apologize for my ignorance on what has actually been happening at those meetings, but all things considered, I do recognize, at least from the responses that we have here, now maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, all the responses are in one language. So I'm going to make the assumption that everybody who has responded is an English speaker, or only speaks English, and obviously has no technological barriers to giving a response. Now, I am making some assumptions here. It could have been translated, or maybe we have done some outreach to those communities that have that digital divide. So maybe you can give me some more input on that.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate the question. Yes, they are available in both English and Spanish, the questionnaire, and it is online. That is correct. We have had one response in Spanish, and you have it in your packet. There is one response.
So there's only been one.
Yes.
And just for the record, all of the mailers and the flyer and all that stuff, everything has been translated into multiple different languages. So I just want to make sure it's clear that it hasn't been homogenous in terms of how we've sent out the information. It just is coincidental that either everyone has decided to respond in English, or there just hasn't been. We just haven't gotten the responses in other languages. So we do. I thought I saw more than one response. We'll look deeper into that. However, the numbers have been going up. They've just all been coming back in English.
So did I hear correctly when you're at DLAC tomorrow
That's correct.
and DCAC? So those meetings can be primarily Spanish speakers. So will we be taking notes from those meetings, like taking notes literally, as opposed to having folks do it on the computer in that meeting as a way? If potentially it's a language barrier, will someone be taking notes during that session to answer any questions or to put any feedback that we can compile?
Yes, we will have that. It's also because it's a public meeting, we take minutes at those meetings too. But yes, the answer is.
So if people bring up questions or comments and they don't fill out the form, that there's a way to relay those to us as well?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
I'm just going to reiterate, and Mr. Miller already referenced it. The importance of community engagement here is trying to capture folks that aren't going to go to our website. Like the website is great, but it's going to capture a finite universe of folks that are, one, comfortable with it, have access to it, but also know what we're asking for on the website. So we have 13 days, basically, and I appreciate us going to be there at Tuesday at MOLA and the DLAC meetings, but I think the education piece is still what I think needs to be highlighted, that it's not just responding to those 2 prompts. And what I haven't heard, and I'm hearing from community members the same thing, that have attended the various meetings, whether they be at Franklin or the Zoom meetings, is what both Board Member Kerr and I suggested last time is we have to provide some prompts or some direction to what folks are giving feedback on. And Board Member Kerr and I have gone through all of these right now. And so some of the comments and questions still demonstrate that folks don't know what we're trying to get at with the maps. And so I'm going to repeat it again here today because we have 13 days left. And these are not in order, but these are things that I think are important to communicate, especially if we're going to have the demographic data available, and we have had the demographic data available. So yes, we need a balance in total population by district to decrease the wide variance that we have currently. But I think it's important for folks, when they're looking at the maps, to know we are looking at citizen voting age population. We are looking at the race and ethnic subgroups. So when I use terms, when we speak of diluting particular racial ethnic subgroups, that folks can look at a map and understand, oh, in this map, this population goes up. In this other map, this population goes down, or there's a variance, right, from map to map. That would be one way for me to think about, as a community member, this is why I like this map better than this other map, or this is what I like about this map, this is what I don't like about this map. They need prompts, right? There's that education piece that it's not just, what do you like about the map? And I'm not trying to trivialize that, but that has to be based on what am I looking for in these maps? Communities of interest, right? That's a big one that keeps standing out, and I'm speaking to everyone. If we only have 1 or 2 responses in Spanish, none in Khmer, these are pillars of what redistricting is supposed to take into consideration, our communities of interest, right? So I don't think we're going to get that just directing folks to a website. So we have 13 days to really highlight the racial and ethnic subgroups, the CVAP, the citizen voting age population, and particularly our communities of interest. At the end of the day, the feedback that we have here, even if folks are writing it in English, we have no sense on who's responding to us. So the one thing that we do have, Justin, is if we know that physically we were at Cabrillo or at Franklin or at MOLA, well, we know what demographic there is there. We know who's showing up. We know if we have interpreters there. We know if questions are being asked in Spanish, whether that be a DLAC meeting or what have you. That's data for us. So I would encourage us to double down our efforts, but to also pull that kind of data so that if folks are taking notes at the DLAC meeting, that we know these, were shared in Khmer and Spanish and whatever other language. Because I do think that even though the time is, the clock is ticking here, Mr. Otto, December 1st, that we lose an opportunity to engage with community members that may not know what these maps result in, even if it's very personal around how does this affect me and my child, that at the end of the day, one of the pillars of the redistricting process is to ensure equitable representation. And if we're not getting feedback, whether it's because they're not using the website or the portal is limiting the engagement, that I think that's where we double down on the next 13 days. I really do think that if we're going to show demographic data, we have to provide some instructions, right? These are some things, key features in maps that you can be looking for beyond the geographic lines. Because if I look at maps 1 through 3, and they're all in compliance, then how will I know which of those 3 maps, what things am I looking for on those 3 maps for me to either like or not like things on the map? So we are still missing a blurb, an explanation, some kind of short descriptor to say, race and ethnicity is one of the things that you should look at. CVAP balance is one of the things that you should look at. Communities of interest are of particular importance to us because of X, Y, and Z, right? So I'm saying it in a sort of last call to action to anyone that's watching too. We need you to provide input. We have good input here, but it's still, some of the comments are still raising questions about what is the LBUSD vision for this? Why are we doing this process? So there's an element here of, if we're asking for feedback, folks ought to be provided some instructions as to what their, what their feedback should be informed by, without us telling them which map, but to say, here's what you should be looking for in the maps.
Dr. Benitez, I would like to add on behalf of the team, having attended the community events that had booths set up, teams, there were a multilingual team that interacted with families. The maps were blown up into core boards and put on stands. The booth was strategically placed at the high school choice fair, and so I'm not sure that the input that is in the survey is the only thing that reflects the kind of community engagement that was done. In fact, staff who were tasked with being in the booths had talking points and ways to engage those who stepped up to the booth to talk to them, including students. So at
That's great.
1,200, families passed by that booth, and it was a constant stream of folks asking questions and getting to look at these big maps in real time, or on the foam core boards, and they've brought out technology right at those stations. So there's been feedback and input that has been taken by that staff and brought in to the themes that you're seeing that I don't think is necessarily reflected in the number of online responses.
That's great to hear.
Especially when it comes to language. We had a really nice group of Khmer speaking community members that participated in one of the virtual meetings that was held on Zoom. And so from the perspective of community engagement and education, which I know is important to you, not just the redistricting part of this, I think we've made a lot of strides, and your board feedback has been really taken into consideration in the larger agenda. How do we engage? How do we use this as an educational moment? And so I'd just like to add that in terms of what staff has done.
That's great, Dr. Baker, and that's what I'm talking about in terms of sharing that, because that's data.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know that we took notes at these meetings, so I can only go by what's presented to our board. The public can only go by what's presented to our board. So that's why I'm encouraging, if we have that interaction, and again, notes are data.
Sure.
Right? So I think it's important to lift those up as well as part of this community engagement.
Yeah, and it's one of the specific things of going to some of the district committees different than just presentations at large, because then it was more customized. Folks could speak in the language that's familiar and comfortable to them. And so I just, I want to acknowledge that as well.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
And I was on, I want to thank staff for their hard work, and I was on both of those, I was lurking on both of the Zoom ones, and I appreciated that you gave folks the opportunity not just to respond, but there was that time at the end where people could ask open-ended questions. You said unmute your mic, and if you've got a question that we didn't address, you gave folks the opportunity to do that. And thank you for these. I think there's as someone said in one of the other redistricting meetings, maybe for the city, is that there are some things that the redistricting process can't fix. So some of the comments on here around why is an area so big? I just wanted to speak just to a couple of those things, just from that education point. In the comments, there's concern that Area 5 is so large, and I really appreciate the population density map that you put in the packet. The city's using a tool in their redistricting that allows citizens to draw their own lines, and they have a whole nother thing because there's 9 folks. They have to divide this, less than this, by 9 because they don't include Lakewood or Signal Hill or Avalon. But one of the comments also is that District 5 is large and geographically, and District 3 is small. And the density map really shows us there are parts of the city where there is extreme density, that it is multifamily housing for blocks and blocks and blocks. And District 5 is filled with mainly single-family homes, some multifamily homes, but also a lot of park space and an airport. So So some of the comments around it should look different, that's one of the things that we talk about in terms of education, that really, when we're looking at population in our city is concentrated in places that people might not know about. So just wanted to acknowledge that that is a theme that I see in terms of the shape of those. That really has to do with when you move those lines block by block, you could be adding 100 people or you could be adding 1,000 people based on the part of town that you're in. So that was something that I noticed and just wanted to acknowledge out loud, because I think people wonder if we're going to talk or answer questions based on this. So how things look can be deceiving. So again, the density map is really important. Is the density map available online for people to look at while they're, or is it on a different page?
We could put it online near the survey. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I think that would be helpful, just so for folks who are really trying to wrap their brain around it, if they're not familiar with parts of the city that they don't live in, it might give them a better understanding of why areas geographically look so much different.
Juan, you mind if I hop in here real quick?
Yes, it's open.
This one's more of a levity comment here. When it comes to the city of Long Beach, there's a couple of controversial questions. One, who's the best musical group that's ever come out of the city, Snoop Dogg or Sublime? Who's the best athlete? But the biggest one, and Ms. Takahashi, you brought it up, how do you pronounce Junipero, Junipero, or Wanapero?
Ms. Takahashi had the pronunciation down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a controversial topic
Say
here
it
in the
again,
city.
Yumi, so everybody can hear you.
Junipero.
Yep. There you go.
Yes.
What about the Ximeno?
That's Eximino. That's Eximino.
Jimeno, Mr. Miller. Jimeno. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Just, again, another technical question, just because it's in here a couple of times. There is this very strange anomaly on the east side of Long Beach of this neighborhood that, if you look at the square, isn't Long Beach. It's actually unincorporated LA County, and it sits over closer to Patrick Henry, that side of town. So I see a couple comments in here that should be included in LBUSD because it's Long Beach. And I just want to make a clarification that is unincorporated LA County by their choice. It's interesting because they have different trash days. Fireworks are allowed in there, so it's a whole different thing on 4th of July compared to the city of Long Beach. So if some people see that little cutout on the map, that's one of those holdovers from years past, and they continue to choose, as far as I know, to be part of unincorporated LA County.
Fun trivia on that, yeah.
And for the record, if you will, I think that's north of Conant, between Palo Verde and Woodruff, that area. South of...
now we're just giving away the secret community.
Oh. I missed the statute. Is that... is it a misdemeanor to give that away?
No. They identified themselves in the comments.
And I'll just say I appreciate folks taking the time to make really specific comments about their community. So not just those kinds of questions, but inclusion of their community or continuation of their community grouped into one space seems to be a common theme. So for all the folks who have submitted in this form and in every other form, I want to thank you for your continued engagement and continue to welcome questions and concerns in this final stretch.
13 days, including our December 1st meeting, to make public comment and provide input. Thank you, Yumi, Justin, James, and the whole team that's been out at the different events and meetings. Moving on. So we are at our business items, and we'll start with our certificated personnel report.
All right, good afternoon. I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the Superintendent. For certificated personnel, We have appointments, 36, in-service changes, 17, leaves of absence, 3, and retirements, 3.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0.
All right.
Classified personnel report.
I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the superintendent. For classified and exempt personnel, we have for appointments, 89, leaves of absence, 5, resignations, 15, retirements, 3, and amendments, 1.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller? Aye. And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Finance report A.
Move to instruction report.
I'm sorry, instruction report.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Jumped ahead of myself here. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Now, finance report A.
Move approval.
Second?
Any discussion? I'll take a vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. That passes 4-0. Finance report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Dr. Benitez, I recuse myself from participation in Finance Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the payees.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Any further discussion? I'll take a vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 3-0 with one abstention. Business Department report.
Move approval.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I would just note that the CAMS received $50,000 from the Norris Foundation and the Parker Hannafin Corporation for the benefit of the robotics program, and it popped a couple of buttons on my shirt, and I know they do a great job out there with this, and so it's nice to see them get the support from both the nonprofit world and the corporate world.
Yeah, that's an awesome contribution.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, Mr. Otto, how do you
Aye.
vote? Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. That passes 4-0. Excuse me. Purchasing and contracts report.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
I also vote aye. That passes 4-0. Other items, superintendent's item, we have none tonight. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have board policies 6142.1. Dr. Baker?
Yes, the revised policy satisfies the requirements set forth in the California Department of Education's categorical program monitoring of the district's comprehensive sexual health and HIV/AIDS prevention instruction. This policy requires that the district address the goals of the California Healthy Youth Act pursuant to Education Code 51930-51939.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Next item, bargaining proposals from Long Beach Unified School District to the Teachers Association of Long Beach and CDC Head Start.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. That passes 4-0. Resolution number 111721-A, relating to information made available to the public in the form of a statutory school facilities fee, including alternative school facilities fees, reportable fees, report for fiscal year 2021, reportable fees report, Code Sections 66006 and 66001. Dr. Baker, we got a packet about this?
Yeah, I was going to say, good job, Dr. Benitez. Mr.
I'm sorry, I
Miranda's-
missed that. Could you repeat that?
Mr. Ritson, can you play back on that part?
Mr. Miranda's here to provide some additional
Thank you.
context to this item.
Thank you so much, and good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Baker, executive staff, and our audience who's hanging on to the tail end of this board meeting. So I'll attempt to
It's not that late, Mr. Miranda.
This is
We've-
not a
we've
late
been
one
here
at
way
all.
later than-
This one's good.
This better not be a challenge to stay here late tonight, Mr. Miranda.
So I'll provide a little context, and then I'll jump into some of the highlights of the report, really to demonstrate compliance per government code. So Education and Government Code allows school districts such as ours to levy fees on residential, commercial, and industrial developments to be used for facility improvements to accommodate students generated from these new developments. Government Code then requires districts to prepare an annual and a 5-year report to share openly with the public to demonstrate compliance with Government Code. So the report includes required information such as beginning fund balances, ending fund balances, interest earned over the last fiscal year, and of course also demonstrating the nexus between these fees collected and the purpose for which they are charged. The report again is for the 2021 fiscal year. So I'll note some of the highlights here just for reference, and then we'll move forward. Beginning balance as of July of 2020 was just shy of $2 million, so about 1.9 million or so. Ending balance at June 30th, 2021 was again just shy of $2 million. So really what we're able to demonstrate here is that the fees collected for the fiscal year were about $2.7 million. This includes about $14,000 in interest, and our expenses were roughly that same amount as well, close to $2.7 million. The expenses were allocated to some administrative cost, some modernization construction work over at Jordan High School, and also a project over at Lakewood High School. The planned expenses for the next fiscal year, for the 21-22 fiscal year, total about $3.5 million as we project right now. The goal for the district here is to try and start spending down a little bit of that balance just as we go into the years that follow. And the expenses will be for administrative costs again, also for projects over at Wilson High School, that would be the HVAC work, and for Jordan High School Phase 4. Primarily the work that went on over in the auditorium building over at Jordan High School. The relationship here, or the nexus that I described, is that these fees are generally at projects or school sites located within the general vicinity where we collected the majority of the fees. And of course, the other big note here is that applying these fees to the project budget really allows us to leverage our local taxpayer bond dollars. This isn't additional funds brought into the dollars, it's us leveraging these fees before we dip into the bond funds for our project. So it really allows us to put more back into the bond program at the end of the day. So at this point, staff recommends approval of this resolution, and I'll be ready to come back to the board and present again next year.
Thank you, Mr. Miranda. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. I have a question. Yumi, where does the Fund 25 name have its origin?
It's a state designated
Oh, okay.
number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Miranda.
Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing and seeing you again next year on this.
Perfect.
And I'll make sure to keep you here later tonight, Mr. Miranda.
Well,
too.
actually, I think I'm going to hang out for the next one here as well.
Okay. So we have, yes. 20.4, and you're up again, Mr. Miranda. Award of leaseback contract for the Lakewood High School gym HVAC project.
Perfect. So this is always a fun part for me, really getting to announce the start of another exciting project under our building program, and that's over at Lakewood High School with their gym HVAC project. So again, we did quite a bit of work over at Lakewood High School with respect to the HVAC work on their core buildings. At a point in time, we did pull off the gym scope of the work to be bid at a future point in time. And if the board recalls, this project initially went out to bid, or we attempted to bid last year, and we didn't have many bids. Actually, there wasn't much interest And we attributed most of that to COVID, right? There was a lot of uncertainty in the contractor community with respect to essential work and would work continue. So we decided to really just put it on the bench for a little while and rebid at this point in time, which we did. So a little bit of context and reference here as well. Leaseback and the ability to use leaseback as a construction delivery method is really guided by Education Code and Government Code 17400 and Section 17406 of the Ed Code. That really gives us the framework for how we embark on these projects. In 2017, Assembly Bill AB 2316 came into effect, and our school board adopted a resolution which really outlined the procedures for evaluating the criteria for selection of leaseback contractors and set forth the framework for solicitation and award of these type of agreements. Under these provisions, leaseback contracts have to be solicited and awarded to the proposer who presents the best value to the district pursuant to this request for qualifications process. So following the adoption of the resolution in 2017, the district issued a request to pre-qualify and a request for qualifications packages from interested contractors. In that advertisement, we set forth the selection criteria, so it was really transparent and contractors knew what our qualifications and selection process would look like. Several firms submitted proposals at that point in time, and 9 firms were selected to a pool of pre-qualified leaseback contractors. So that they, in essence, competed at the first layer, is what I would describe at that point in time. Later, so fast forwarding us to this summer, August of 2021, the district issued to the pool of these pre-qualified firms a request for proposals for this specific Lakewood High School project. So in essence, now competing at the second level or a second time. The district received 2 proposals from interested contractors, both very reputable contractors. We weighed, really evaluated these proposals in full based on the criteria established in that original board resolution. That included items such as cost, contractors' overhead and profit, financing, strength of and experience of the specific staff assigned to the project, and the strength of the firm's local hire and local participation. At that point in time, we were able to determine that Neff Construction provided the best value for this particular project. Their guaranteed project cost, as proposed here, is $10,572,985.96. And just a couple points of reference as well. So piggybacking off of our conversation from the last board workshop, I should note this project is a little over budget right now. There are a number of considerations I covered a few weeks ago, such as increases to construction materials, labor shortages we're experiencing in the construction field, and of course inflation as well. And we're starting to see that on some of our recent bids. Neff Construction, very reputable. They've done a lot of work for us in the district, and they're currently doing work over at Wilson High School on the HVAC project. So we're really proud to partner with them again. And this project is slated to start in January and will be roughly a 6-month duration. So we're excited to get off the ground with this project and of course recommend approval of this leaseback agreement.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just really quickly, you discussed that this is going to be one of the projects under our local and disadvantaged hiring clause, correct?
This is actually not on the project list for the CWDA agreement. However, we do consider the local hire in our evaluation process.
Okay.
So we look at, that's one of our scoring metrics.
Got it.
Yes.
Mr. Miranda, just a quick point of clarification. This project is listed as Lakewood High School gym HVAC. How is that different, or am I just confused here, from the facilities fees report that you shared with us, where it says at 1.25 million of expenditures for the Lakewood High School HVAC project? So on the last page of the report that you shared with us, Lakewood High School is listed, and it says 1.25 million expenditures from Fund 25 for construction HVAC.
Yes.
Is that different than this what we're talking?
Different projects. So in terms of current expenses for this past fiscal year, that would have been for Lakewood HVAC work on the core buildings, so on the classroom buildings per se. Whereas going forward into this current year, we don't project expenses out of the statutory school fees to go to Lakewood High School.
Okay, and is there a particular reason why it's written as high school gym HVAC?
So originally this scope of work was included in the entire Lakewood HVAC scope.
Got it.
At one point in time, just based on a number of project details, we separated off the gym component.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Any other discussion? Well, let's take a vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Miranda.
Thank you.
Moving on to report of board members. Ms. Kerr, why don't you start us off?
Sure. It's good to be with all of you tonight. A couple things. I want to thank Ms. Carpenter at Hart, Ms. Ramos at Los Cerritos, Mr. Segura at Longfellow, Dr. Banuzzi at Lindbergh, Mr. Steinhauser at Hughes, and Ms. Irving at Jordan for taking time out of their very busy days to host me, to show me the good stuff happening on their campuses. So I've refrained from going to too many classes as a way not to disrupt as we get back into the new year. So it was my first time really being in classrooms with our administrators to see the incredible work that they and our teachers are doing. So I want to thank them for taking the time out. A special shout out to the students at Lindbergh. I visited a lot of school sites in 8 years, and I was been on a lot of school sites as a parent in this district, and I can't remember a time being on a campus when more students stopped to greet me and to say hello and to introduce themselves to me as I did when I was at Lindbergh. And she told me, Dr. Banuzzi told me that was one of the things that they were working on, but it was really unprompted, and it was a delight to be with them. They had such a great energy on Monday. And so to all those students who stopped and said hi, thank you for introducing yourself. I'll save that until the end. Are you going to talk about the expo event?
No, you can.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Baker and myself and Mr. Miller and Mr. Otto and Ms. Craighead attended the Black Veterans exhibit at the Expo Center at the African American Cultural Center of Long Beach. It's one of the first of its kind, and Long Beach is really proud to host it. It will be there for 6 months. It is free of charge, and they're going to rotate about every month the different areas that they're highlighting. So it was incredible to come together with the board of that organization and the Expo Center and community leaders to celebrate the momentous achievements. The McLucas family was there as well with their Forgotten Images, this time specifically related to military service, which was really great to focus on. So I encourage everyone to head out to the Expo Center either on First Fridays or other days and take that exhibit in. And I'll end with Jordan High School. So Jordan is having a heck of a week. So Jordan High School football team is headed to the semifinals for the first time in school history. So if you're not doing anything Friday night and you're not going to the Poly game, I highly recommend heading up Atlantic to Uptown Atlantic Avenue and support our Jordan Panthers. Buy yourself a ticket online for that. It should be a great game, and we wish them lots of luck. And finally, I went on Sunday, so the Long Beach Camerata Singers, which is one of our local arts organizations, a chorale group, put together their Peace Project 5 around a theme of reconciliation, along with Vice Mayor Richardson as the narrator, really exhibiting works by African American artists over time, and not just singing and performing them, but really telling a little bit about their history. It was incredibly delightful, and more important, it was the public debut of the newly renovated Jordan Auditorium, and I was so proud to be in that space and welcome folks who I don't know if they've ever been to Jordan High School before into a really extraordinary space. So special thanks to Jody Irish and Dave Barcliff for being incredible hosts. I know they put in a ton of time over those couple of days to prepare. And Dave spoke really eloquently about what an honor it is to welcome the community into that space and creating a beautiful space for those students to learn the craft of staging and lighting and sound. And as he was up there saying, bring up some blue or let's show some amber, it was a student who was working the booth. So it was a really wonderful opportunity to show off not only a beautiful venue, but what he said as his classroom. So to the Jordan students who were there, and to the staff who supported those students in their tuxedos and their ushering, thank you for welcoming the Long Beach community to Uptown, and I hope it's the first of many, many events there.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Mr. Miller.
All right, I'll try and be brief here. First, I just wanted to remind everybody that, as Juan has stated multiple times, and as we've talked about today, that there are 13 days left to give your opinions of the 3 maps that we have on the Long Beach Unified School District website at, I'm trying not to mess this up here, /redistricting. There we go. lbschools.net/redistricting. Next, I'm going to piggyback on what Megan just talked about, but I'm going to talk about the school in my district, good old Poly. We beat the brakes off of Upland a couple of days ago, and we're on to the semifinals versus Cypress. We're trying to pack the vet here, so feel free to purchase your tickets online to cheer on Poly as they too are in the semifinals this week. And last but not least, and this is an important one, we're going into the holidays. This time last year, it was a pretty uncomfortable space, to say the least, as we know that the holidays are built around wanting to be around your loved ones and wanting to fellowship and celebrate and hug and smile and laugh with family, but we knew that we were still a few months away from the vaccine. And so there was obviously levels for concern. And for a lot of people, they decided to keep their distance and not participate with families. There were others who decided to participate in gatherings or small gatherings with their family, so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is that right after that holiday celebration, we saw a tremendous spike. That could have been due to a number of factors, but one of the ways that we can continue to keep families safe is not necessarily just with vaccinations, but it's also knowing your status and getting tested. So yes, I can stand here and preach about the power of the vaccine. I'm going to preach about the power of getting tested before you go and see those family members. This is going to be a week where you're going to want to hug and smile and talk to grandma who you haven't seen in a while. And so please, before you go to those family gatherings, utilize one of the city resources to go get one of the free tests so that you know your status is negative before you attend to those family gatherings. And I hope that everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. I know I'm going to.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Otto.
Yeah, I also was going to say something about upcoming Thanksgiving and how nice it is to be able to come together as family and friends. And it's better now than it was last year, and we hope that it's going to continue to get better. We've had lots of comment over the last couple of months about what's going on with the pandemic, and it's ebbing and flowing, but it is absolutely gotten worse in colder times when people are more inside, and so I think it's important for people to be conscious. I did, in fact, go to the African American exhibit at the on Atlantic, and it was really inspirational. My wife just couldn't stop talking about it afterwards, and we expect that we will go back and see it again because it was just that good, and you learn some things about people in Long Beach that you wouldn't know about otherwise. I went to the School of Choice event last Saturday at Cabrillo High School. I had actually gone there last year before I was a board member. It was inside. I thought I was in Mars, except I was being crushed to death by all these people inside the gym at Cabrillo. This year it was outside, and I'm surprised that there were only 1,200 families there because there seemed like there were a lot more. I went around. First thing I did when I got there, James, was to go to the redistricting group and a booth and to talk to the people there. The maps were bigger and easier to read, and that was nice. I learned some things that I didn't learn, but I stayed there for about 20 minutes, and it was very, very popular. And congratulations to the way that you've got that done. And then I literally went around to each of the booths, if you will, for each of the high schools, with the exception of Browning. Browning was right at the beginning, and somehow I missed that, so I am stalking the handouts from Browning, because I got so many handouts from all the other high schools in town that I put them all in files and then in a big Redwell. So I've got all the information about all the schools, and I'm looking for the person in the district to go to talk about all the different pathways, all the different programs. I get a much better understanding of how all of that is done, and yet I want to have to understand it at an even deeper level. I have a grandson in 9th grade who went through this last year. I have a grandson in 8th grade who I couldn't get to go. His mother, my daughter, said, I know all that stuff. I've been into this for a long time. But I called her afterwards and said, I have bad news for you. And she said, what's that? And I said, I have all the handouts. And we're going to go through them, and we're going to make sure that you're making informed choices about where it is that your younger son is going to go to school. And I was so impressed not only by the amount of information, but the enthusiasm of the people in those booths. They really wanted to help you. They were really proud of the schools that they went to, the pathways that they were on, and I spent 2 hours there going around and talking to people, and I learned so much, and it was a great experience. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy yourselves. Be careful, and we'll look forward to our big meeting on December 1st, where we not only talk about our choice for among the maps that we want to recommend going forward, but also our equity policy. So that's it.
I think you just want to figure out a way to get more attorneys to graduate from our district. You were asking some very leading questions of Isabel earlier today, Mr. Otto.
I got her address. I'm going to be talking to her.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. I'll be brief, just going to highlight 3 things. So over the last few years, one of the things that I've been highlighting and appreciate Dr. Baker has made this a priority is our language justice work in the district. And I want to give kudos really in 2 things in the last couple of weeks that I see, and I want to give kudos to our staff for providing all the interpretation and translation support. We had a presentation during our board workshop a couple of weeks ago. I didn't get to mention this. And one of the things that we're working on, and I got to be a part of that meeting at Whittier, is us exploring Khmer language program there at Whittier. So I wanted to lift that up and didn't get a chance to at the board workshop. But also for those of us that have been attending at one point or another, I think all of us up here, our CAC meetings. It's remarkable, Dr. Brown, that a few years ago, we could characterize these meetings as contentious at points, right? And that we have full-on meetings in Spanish, right, by a board of Spanish-speaking parents that have risen to the occasion to leadership positions on that CAC board. And I'm very mindful that we have parents that were showing up to my community office hours, virtual office hours last year, that are members of the CAC board and are conducting very effective, efficient, dynamic meetings in Spanish and English. So thank you to all of our LBUSD team for not just talking the talk around language justice and accessibility, but that's reflected through our very powerful district spaces. So wanted to give kudos to that. And it's in this spirit. I opened up today's meeting with a land acknowledgement. It is Native American Heritage Month, or American Indian Heritage Month, Alaska Native Heritage Month. George Bush passed that proclamation in 1990. But as my colleagues here were speaking about our fall break next week, that we can be thankful and mindful that many of our staple go-to Thanksgiving dishes, elote, corn, right, camote, sweet potato, guajolote, turkey, that these are indigenous to these lands, so that as we give thanks in our own ways and take some time to reflect and do some self-care the next week, that we also remember that we are in the middle of celebrating Native American Heritage Month, and that we want to make sure that we reflect and uphold our commitment to equity and the appreciation that we have for what makes our community and our district wonderful. And part of that is in our roots and our indigenous roots. So just want to make sure that everyone stays safe, as Mr. Miller and my colleagues here have shared, but that in whatever way we take time to ourselves next week, that we also remember that we have a long history, and particularly in this part of town, of Native American resistance struggle, and that we can be also thankful that our first European settlers here only survived because of our Native American support, and particularly in the area that we're sitting. So with that said, I will pass it on to Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I just have a series of gratitude and a few things I'd like to announce. The first is that we had more than 360 of our substitute teachers who worked last Friday, the day after Veterans Day. A very high need, in fact, the greatest day of need for substitute teachers in our recent history. So I just want to thank the substitutes that answered the call, and also just to thank our teachers who stepped in. We had a number of TOSAs and deans and others who are not assigned to a classroom that assigned themselves to a classroom for that day, as well as our managers who were, including myself, who were out at schools supporting classrooms. It was by all regards, I think it was a less stressful day than we thought it might be, and just wanted to thank those who served on that day, served our children. Also want to echo the sentiments about the High School Choice Summit. It was Stephanie Heilig's first High School Choice Summit as the administrator of that program under Dr. Salazar's lead, and they did some really good technological advances with QR codes and the way that they engaged the community. And so, as you've heard, there were more than 1,200 people that walked through. In addition to that, we had hundreds of school staff members there telling the story, and our kids telling the story about their schools. And to stand with our students and hear them with such pride and such depth be able to tell families and other students, it just makes me personally beam with pride on behalf of the district. For families who are in that choice process, or just others who want to know, this is now the season of high school site night. So if you're interested in learning more as a community member or as a parent even of a younger student, you can either look on the school's websites or the high school choice site on our district website, or call a school and just ask them when their site night is. It's a great opportunity even for families that have middle schoolers that are not making a choice to know what's out there. Adding to some of the sports, so our Poly girls tennis team, #1 CIF, first time CIF champs in tennis. That was awesome to see. And Poly also advancing to the semifinals in water polo. Any others, Dr. Camarina, that you want to shout out?
Yeah, they won boys water polo team, one CIF, another in the state playoffs as we speak. And the band spectacular is happening as we speak.
And Band Spectacular is tonight. Yes, thank you. And before I wish everyone a good Thanksgiving break, also just want to acknowledge Renaissance will have its first performance in its new auditorium Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would guess for board members there may be a ticket still available for one of those performances. If you're interested, I know I'll be there on Saturday afternoon. And so lastly, just want to echo the sentiments about next week's break. For most of the district, next week is a break. And I just want to encourage folks to get some good rest and have a quiet and safe celebration. I also want to thank staff who are working. So we are a big business. It takes lots of people to keep everything running. And so we'll have a lot of staff working Monday through Wednesday. I just want to thank them and encourage them to have Thursday and Friday as good days of rest. So thank you all.
Sure.
I just wanted to make a comment about the Poly water polo team. It's my understanding that this was the first time that Poly had won the water polo championship in over 90 years, and that it used to be that Poly was the water polo team in Long Beach, and in fact there were 2 Olympians in 36, I think, that came from Poly, who then went into the military and came out and made the 48 Olympic water polo team as well. I know this because one of my best friends I went to Millikan High School with, was on an Olympic water polo team much later. But it's a special moment for Poly to have achieved this and to have won this, and there was quite a celebration, I understand, afterwards.
Did you want to add something, Mr. Camarillo? Dr.
Yes,
Camarillo?
yes, it was since 1929, and they actually play tomorrow away. So they'll be, their road to the playoff state championship is tomorrow night.
Sending good winning vibes that way. Thank you, Dr. Baker. Anything else? Okay. So let's, any announcements?
One really quick one, just on a personal note. I think I've shared with a couple of you that I am a mentor in a local mentoring organization, and today is my mentee's birthday. So I didn't get to hang out with him today, but I just wanted to send him a happy birthday.
You got time, Mr. Miller. It's early.
I know, right? But it's a school night, so
Okay.
I'll leave him be.
Any other announcements?
Just a reminder to buy your Jordan football ticket for Friday.
And then, as Justin mentioned, we are having a Thanksgiving dinner giveaway at Mola from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can also provide some input on our redistricting efforts this Tuesday. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.